Hello everyone and welcome back. Today we're looking at the stories behind 6 legendary guitars. I am running out of ways to title the videos in this series, but either way, this'll be fun. Let's dive in. To start things off, we have Stevie Ray Vaughan's #1 Stratocaster, also known as the First Wife. And before we start discussing it, let me tell you the story behind this one isn't all that interesting, but good lord, I have taken a lot of flack for not including this guitar in any of my other videos. SRV's #1 was a beat-up sunburst Strat body from 1963 fitted with a 1962 Strat neck. The pickups are from 1959 and the trem is an upside-down gold lefty. Stevie acquired this guitar secondhand in 1974 and it quickly became his go-to battle axe. The gold trem was added after the fact by his guitar tech, Rene Martinez. A replacement for the old broken trem was needed and only a lefty was available, so Rene made it work. It stayed on the guitar permanently, giving it that Hendrixy vibe. The original SRV initial stickers were bought at a truck stop and Stevie would use this guitar throughout his entire career, although there was one show where he didn't have it at his disposal. After playing the guitar night in, night out, the original neck became unplayable and was replaced with another. Soon after, a piece of stage rigging fell on the guitar, breaking the new neck in half. While it was being refitted with yet another neck, it was out of commission for a single show. After Stevie's death, the original neck was put back on the guitar and it's now owned by his brother Jimmy. Next on our list, we have the iconic Polka Dot V played by Randy Rhoads. Before joining up with Ozzy Osbourne, Randy was grinding it out with the session musicians in Los Angeles. Among his contemporaries was George Lynch, another session guitarist who would eventually find success with the band Dokken. At this time, George had a Flying V with a Fender-style trem system built by a fellow named Carl Sandoval. The guitar immediately drew the attention of Rhoads. It took aspects of what he loved in a Gibson combined with Fender mechanics. Desiring a similar guitar himself, he gave Carl a call. Together, the two conceptualized the polka dot Flying V that Randy would eventually make famous. The neck is a modified Dan Electro that Carl bought at a swap meet. The body is thicker to accommodate the trem, and of course it has those signature polka dots, which according to Carl were hideous. Within 3 weeks, Randy had broken the headstock, though it was quickly fixed, and in 1990, he headed to Europe with the Prince of Darkness. It was during the early days in Ozzy's band that the world really started taking note of the young guitarist and the funky polka dot Flying V that he played. After Randy Rhoads' tragic death, there would be a couple more guitarists in Ozzy's band before Zakk Wylde joined, which brings us to the next guitar on our list, Zakk Wylde's Holy Grail Les Paul. Zakk had been hired to play in Ozzy's band and was set to do a photo shoot to announce his new position to the world. Having worshipped both Randy Rhoads and Eddie Van Halen, Zakk decided that he wanted some sort of signature design on his guitar just like they had. He had recently seen a commercial for Alfred Hitchcock's movie Vertigo, which had featured a spiral design. He thought that this would look great on an instrument and he hired a friend to paint it. The paint job for the Les Paul was finished just before the photo shoot, however it was a bullseye, not the spiral that Zakk had requested. He had to make do, and the bullseye became synonymous with Zakk's image, and it's safe to say that he learned to love it. At one point, the guitar went missing for 3 years after it fell off the back of a truck. Fortunately, a fan recognized it at a pawn shop and reunited the guitar with its rightful owner. And fun fact, in 2012, some 20 years after Zakk imagined the spiral, Gibson created a Zakk Wylde signature model with that very design. Next up, we have Dweezil Zappa's Sunburst Strat. This guitar has quite the tale to it, which can be traced back to the 1968 Miami Pop Festival. Jimi Hendrix played the instrument, and after the show, it was given to Dweezil's dad, Frank. The guitar was in rough shape, having been beat up and at some point set on fire, so it sat on the wall as a studio decoration until Frank Zappa eventually decided to rebuild it. Like any guitar Frank used, it was modified heavily. The pickups featured an unconventional EQ system. There was a piezo pickup built into the neck which could be blended into the mix. There was a mirror pickguard as well as a new neck. The guitar was a workhorse, being used on stage by Adrian Belew, Steve Vai, Frank Zappa himself before it mysteriously disappeared. Years went by and Frank's son Dweezil found it in pieces under the stairs of their home, so he took it to Frank asking if he could bring the guitar back to life. It was rebuilt, Frank played it for a while before giving it to Dweezil, who eventually remodified it back to the way it was back in the 70s. Moving on, we have another legendary Strat, Yngwie Malmsteen's The Duck, named after the Donald Duck sticker on the headstock. This 1972 guitar was bought by Malmsteen in his home country of Sweden in 1978. Since its purchase, the guitar has evolved significantly. The pickups were replaced a number of times, and perhaps the biggest change was the scallop fretboard with the jumbo frets. While Malmsteen was apprenticing as a luthier, he came across a 17th century lute with valleys cut out between each fret. Inspired by the concept, he tried this out on one of his cheaper guitars. He found that it allowed for easier bends and more sustain. The positive results led to his higher-end Strat getting a similar treatment. Over the years, this guitar has been worn down about as much as any guitar can withstand. Frets have popped out when the guitar was hit with a projectile beer bottle. Countless cigarettes have been put out on it. He's thrown it in the air and missed catching it on the way down. And according to Malmsteen, the headstock has been broken and been replaced at least 6 times. Maybe it makes sense that this guitar has been abused so much. Malmsteen has stated that it isn't even one of his favorites, it just happens to sound the best, so he keeps using it. The last guitar on our list is one of the more ridiculous guitars out there, shred god Michael Angelo Batio's Quadruple neck. The guitar is the result of the one-upsmanship and competitive spirit that inspired so much of 80s shred culture. Michael had grown a reputation for being one of the biggest hotshot speed demons on the shred metal scene, and if it wasn't enough to be able to play guitar at jaw-dropping tempos, he was able to do so with both hands on a double neck guitar. Unlike the Gibson double neck, Michael's guitar had 2 necks facing opposite directions. One right-handed, one left-handed, and he would play them both at once. A contemporary shredder and guitarist extraordinaire, Steve Vai was inspired by Michael's use of the multiple neck guitars and had his own triple neck built. Not to be outdone, Batio took it one step further, and with the help of Wayne Charvel, the Quadruple neck was born. There were 2 7-string necks as well as a pair of 6 strings. Some might say this was the pinnacle of the 80s shred metal movement, but sadly the guitar didn't last that long. After a mere 2 stops into his first tour with a 26 string, the guitar was stolen in El Paso, Texas. Fortunately, however, the guitar was recovered years later in London. Ladies and gentlemen, there you have it, the stories behind 6 legendary guitars. Now, before you leave me a comment saying why didn't I include this guitar, check out my other 3 installments in this series. If the guitar still isn't there, let me know and I'm sure I'll do another one of these videos in the future. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed that video, and I want to remind you that through August of 2018, I'm running a contest where you can win this Gretsch guitar. All you need to do is help me finish a song and make a video of yourself playing it. For more information, hit that link over there. Who knows, maybe you'll win this guitar and it will end up on a list like this one. Thank you all for watching. I'm Samurai Guitarist, and I will see you again soon.